I was sitting there across from my girlfriend and we were talking, and literally the restaurant started like spinning above me. Now I know what the word is. It's called like depersonalization. I didn't know what my girlfriend was saying. Like, I couldn't hear her. It was like her mouth was moving and nothing was coming out. Everything around me was kind of moving. I had to like excuse myself from the table. I went outside to get some air. And then I texted my husband and I said, I gotta go. We have to like leave. Like, there's something wrong. So get back to the Airbnb, and I said to my husband, I'll call my doctor tomorrow and see if he can see me. And that's where it all began. I took 2 like month leaves during that year because my body I just went into crash mode. So like I would get a little bit better and then I'd go back to like my regular lifestyle and I'd crash. During this whole journey too, I saw therapists, and like, because that was another thing, like, go see therapists, unlock all this trauma. I went to one therapist that like screwed me up even more. And you guys saved me. I honestly mean that. I don't give that kind of accolades out, but there's no words to describe it. My physical things, I'm walking probably like 2 miles, 1.5 miles, 2 miles a day. I have some goals. There's a certain hike that I still want to do. Which was probably because it was like my last hike that I did before getting back to work, which is going to happen. I'm volunteering like 1 day a week right now, which is great.
How's it going, everybody? Miguel here with CFS Recovery. In this video, I have Jackie, who's been putting in so much work into her own recovery. She's been with us for about a year. She's made massive progress. And, she got started on this journey. I mean, her body hit a wall to go after it was the perfect storm, essentially. But I'm going to let her share some of her story in this video. But Jackie, you want to quickly introduce yourself?
Hi, my name's Jackie, and I am 57 years old and live in Boston, Massachusetts, and that's in the United States. And I have been with Miguel in Jumpstart for a little over a year now.
Excellent. And yeah, you made a ton of progress. I remember you weren't too functional before, and your body was very hypersensitive. It was very unpredictable. Now you're going out doing all these different things, and you're still dealing with some symptoms here and there, but you're in such a different place than you were a year ago. We've made so much progress. So you should be very proud of yourself. And that's the reason I wanted to bring you on here, is to share your story with some people who need that little bit of hope, especially women around your age who think it's not possible to get better when it absolutely is. So you're proving that, with your own story. So let's jump into it. This all went down just over 2 years ago, right? August 2021, but maybe just paint a picture for us. What was life like leading up to that point?
Sure. Before the perfect storm, which you'll call it, like when I went down, I was working full time. I was addicted to going to the gym and physical fitness. That was my way of like releasing my stress. I was a runner. I literally was in the gym, every day after work. As soon as I got out of work, I would go and hit the gym. And then if I had a little bit of time to myself, I would pick up a yoga class. I would go on a run, anything physical, hikes. My husband and I hiked like crazy. Like I said, I was working a full-time job. Prior to that, I probably worked, at one point I was working like 3 jobs in order to get my son through undergrad, helping out my family as much as I can. So my life has always been like go, go, go. And at the time, back in August, I was out of COVID, at a lockdown really, and I've been taking care of my dad, who became an invalid during lockdown. He broke his hip, and I had to move him in with me, so he was living with me. So literally for the past 3 years, I've been taking care of him. I have a special needs daughter that I take care of. That in itself is a full-time job, a job that I love, of course. It's my daughter, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of stress. But my life was, I thought, great. I was happy. I was productive. I was the type of person that if someone needed something done, I was there. And I love that. But in hindsight, when I look back, I gave nothing to myself. I gave it all out. I gave it out to everybody. So I would say August 2021 is when my body finally just said, I've had enough, and knocked me to the ground. And literally did not know what was going on with my body. It was the strangest. I felt like I was like knocked out of nowhere. But I do believe about a month and a half prior to that, I had my second vaccine. And I really think that was the tipping point. I'm not saying that's the what did it, but I think that would tip me over. That year I had 3 big shots. So I had 2, actually 4. So I had 2 of the vaccines. I had a vaccine for the flu. Yeah. And then I also had a vaccine for shingles. So those were all consecutively leading up to like August. So,
And what symptoms were you feeling? Were you feeling symptoms leading up to August as well? Things here and there, and then boom, it hit you, or it all came out of nowhere?
when I look back, there were little symptoms that were leading up, but like I didn't really pay them any mind because that was my usual MO, was just to push through. And if I was sick, I never took a day off of work ever. I just pushed through. That's just how I was brought up. I saved those sick days for if my kids were sick or something, but like I never took time. So leading up to it, I was feeling a little small things, like I was feeling like just kind of dizzy all the time, just not right, like just kind of off. And went to my doctor, and she was like, "Well, your B12 is a little bit low. We'll just do B12 shots." And so I started taking B12 shots and thought I felt better. And then just kind of like brain foggy, like things weren't clicking. Like, and I was like really fast and really quick, and things were done fast. And I'm going to tell you, the thing that really had me questioning, I worked in the school system for 23 years. And every 2 years, I would have to take an accreditation type of test. And I would study on the weekend for it. I was doing the same job for 23 years, so I knew a lot of the information. But it would just be a quick, like, study for the weekend, take the test, pass it. And I was studying, and nothing was like staying in my brain. I was like, and then I'm like, oh, once the test comes, I'll be fine. I failed the test. And it was the first time I failed the test in 23 years. I couldn't believe it. And my boss was like, well, we'll just retake it. Don't worry about it. We'll retake it in September. And I'm like, all right. But it really hit me because when I was answering the questions, like I had no idea what the answers were. Like,
yeah, your brain just wasn't firing on all cylinders, right?
it was not firing. So there was that. And then, like I said, during the summer, I was working during the summer. And it was basically, that's what I was noticing, was kind of these like dizzy feelings, just off. And so August comes around, and literally I woke up one morning and I felt like I couldn't move, and my body was just done. So, but my personality, I'm like, you just got to get up and get going. And we were going away on vacation, my husband and I. So I was packing and getting things ready to go away for a couple of days. And we were going away alone, my husband and I, which is something that we don't normally do. And got down to where we were. And I was just off. I was just dragging. But it wasn't like I was getting a cold or anything like that. I was just tired, but not tired. It was just something else. So we spent the day at the beach, and that night we were going out for dinner, and we were going to meet friends for dinner. And when I got home, back to the Airbnb that we were at, I was exhausted, and I was just, again, my head felt like woozy. And I said, I'm not feeling great, but you know what I'm going to do? Let's go outside and let's go do a quick HIIT workout, because that'll make me feel better.
How'd that go?
Not good. So went through it, got through it, and then we went out for dinner. And I was sitting there across from my girlfriend, and we were talking, and literally the restaurant started like spinning above me. Now I know what the word is. It's called like depersonalization. I didn't know what my girlfriend was saying. Like, I couldn't hear her. It was like her mouth was moving and nothing was coming out. Everything around me was kind of moving. I had to like excuse myself from the table. I went outside to get some air. And then I texted my husband and I said, I gotta go. We have to like leave. Like, there's something wrong. So get back to the Airbnb, and I said to my husband, I'll call my doctor tomorrow and see if he can see me. And that's where it all began. It just... We left early. We went home. My doctor saw me. I was literally crawling into her office. Now, she knows me. She's been my doctor for 3 years. I was literally in the doctor's office probably twice a year. My physical, and maybe one time a year, I wasn't feeling great. I'd go in and have to be really bad. So she knew me as somebody that was just, a pillar of, someone that was healthy. And when she came in, my head was on the table, and I just looked up to her and I said, I think I'm dying, like something wrong. So immediately she started taking blood tests and, every test that she can think of. She was really good. She was very, very helpful, my GP. And of course, Everything came back fine. The only thing that was off a little bit was my thyroid. My thyroid numbers were off a little bit, but not enough that would be like that I would require medicine or medication or anything like that. But she did send me to an endocrinologist. She's like, let's go to an endocrinologist and see. Well, it took a while to get in to go see the endocrinologist. But in the meantime, I went back to work because it was the end of August. School was starting. I went back to work. I had to go back to work. And I'm thinking to myself, I'll feel better. 2 weeks. I'm giving this 2 weeks. I'm going to feel better. Well, 2 weeks turns into 2 years. And that's where it all started. So I saw endocrinologists. So I guess my symptoms, though, maybe people would want to probably hear about like that. Like that's, I know when I was looking at recovery videos, like I wanted to hear what people's symptoms were.
Yeah. Share what you went through and how, what were you experiencing?
I was experiencing extreme fatigue, like nothing I have ever experienced in my life. It felt like walking through mud. The dizziness, like I said, I had this, it felt like there was a band around my head, that there was like pressure on the back of my head, like intense pressure. My neck was like killing me. Brain fog, like you could not believe. I didn't even know what the word was. I couldn't make sentences. It was just the most frightening thing in the world. I thought I was losing my mind. Thought I was getting Alzheimer's. What else?
Did you have pain too?
I didn't have a lot of pain. I didn't. I would say the only pain that I was experiencing was in my neck and was in the back of my head. But I didn't have like all over like body pain or anything like that. It was more of the neurological and the fatigue. And that scared me to death because who I was the go, go, go person. And now I'm in bed.
Yeah, complete opposite, right?
Right. So what I wound up doing was I took some time off from work. I called my boss and I said, I don't know what's going on, but I need some time. So I was like, I'm just going to take a week. I'll be back in a week. And that's when I started like Googling and putting in my symptoms into the computer and just looking up things. And that's where like the fear started setting in. I was getting terrified because everything I'm reading is like doom and gloom and just bad. So I started going to all doctor's appointments because I was seeing, my heart, that was another thing. My heart was beating out of my chest. I had super low blood pressure. My blood pressure was like tanking. So I went to see a cardiologist, an endocrinologist, a rheumatologist, a gastro, what else? My regular GP, of course, all of them doing all kinds of testing, blood work, everything was coming back normal. Check my brain. I can't tell you how many MRIs and CAT scans I had of my brain. Everything was fine. Everything was fine. Again, the only thing that was off was my thyroid a little bit. But again, nothing that they would warrant medicine. Well, I was such a lunatic that I was begging the endocrinologist. I was like, please give me something. Like, give me something for it. And she was like, all right, we'll start you on this little bit of medication. I don't think it's going to do anything, but let's try it. I'm like, no, it's going to work. It's going to work. I started taking this medication, and with 2 months, I broke out into this like head to toe rash from it. And that was because my body didn't need it. It was just like purging. So I got off that medication. But I was on beta blockers for my heart. They prescribed, everyone was just looking at me saying it's like, well, it's in your head. And the amount of antidepressants that they prescribed for me was outrageous.
Wow.
And nothing worked because I was trying to tell everyone, but I'm not depressed. Crying, I'm emotional because I don't know what's wrong. I'm not depressed.
Yeah.
Trying to get, and I know people will understand what I'm saying if they're going through this with that type of like answer. It's like, I'm not depressed. I don't need an antidepressant. But they were like, well, that's the only thing we can give you. They prescribed gabapentin for different things, all kinds, tramadol, all these kinds of medications that I tried that just made me worse. Oh, LDN was another one, which is that low dose naltrexone. That made me off the wall. Now anxiety is starting to set in too.
Yeah.
Super anxious. Like, super anxious.
Because I think with the medication too, the more things we try and the more we get our hopes up thinking, okay, this should probably fix it. This might fix it. And then it doesn't work. It's almost like another blow to that hope you have inside. And you used to be, not only were you doing a lot of stuff in life, working, all these different responsibilities, you were quite active, right? Like you were running and you were fit. And now your heart rate is all over the place just doing simple stuff, right?
Exactly.
So it's opposite.
And the fact that like I was told to stop exercising, they're like, stop exercising right now. So I stopped exercising. Well, now I look back, that in itself, what it did to my, what is it, the neural, I don't know, the gap, whatever they are, the GABA, all of the things in my brain, I literally stopped, I mean, nothing. So that in itself was enough to like make me depressed and anxious just in normal situation.
Oh yeah. Let alone on top of all these other things you're dealing with. It's just
Right.
everything.
Going from like, that was my release. That's where I felt great, And yeah, so the doctors itself, they weren't working. So I was like, well, I'm a fixer. That's my job. I fix
Yeah.
everybody. My husband, I fix my kids, I fix my father, I fix my brother, my mother. So I just got to fix me. So now I went down like the naturopath route. So I said,
Yeah.
let's try this.
Right.
Well, let me tell you, that was I'm not saying that naturopaths and those types of doctors and whatever they aren't good people and everything like that, but they scared me so much. I started seeing somebody, she was a chiropractor, but she was like what they call muscle testing. And she was the first one that said, oh, you have heavy metal because of the vaccines. You have heavy metals all through your body. I was petrified. I was like, I have metal in my body? Like, and she's like, yep, you have heavy. So they started me on all of these like cleanses and
The detoxes, the cleanses.
that were so incredibly harsh on the system. I'm not saying that those things aren't good for people, not for people that were in my state.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've learned. Like my nervous system was up here, and I didn't need all that. But I followed their instructions. It was horrible, absolutely horrible. And I was probably on 100 different supplements. But the amount of money that I spent on supplements, and then I went from, they said I had heavy metals. Then I went from that. Then they were telling me that I had probably had Lyme, and then I probably had mold. I had my husband ripping out parts of our ceiling where I thought they were. I saw a little bit of a water break. My water. I'm like, oh, this, now it's mold. I had him like ripping out parts of my house. There wasn't
every measure to try to solve this. Holy
Yep.
cow.
There wasn't any mold. So all of these people just adding fear and fuel to the fire, just adding. Then I did acupuncture, reflexology, cranial reflexology. Now this is all out of pocket, and I'm working still.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And I'm still working. I took 2 like month leaves during that year because my body I just went into crash mode. So like I would get a little bit better, and then I'd go back to like my regular lifestyle, and I'd crash.
Yeah.
And then just normal, like everyone else, right? We'll probably on here will attest to. Then I would get back to get a little bit better, crash. So like I said, I did all of that. I bought a red light therapy machine for my house that was like thousands of dollars. I bought this mat that you lay on. It's like an electrical mat that's supposed to have these. I don't even know what it is. I don't know. That was like another $2,000. This watch that I wore that was supposed to help me with my anxiety and my depression. And like I said, plus I was working, and I'm working in a school where it's probably one of the most overstimulating places.
Oh yeah, unpredictable kids and this and that. Holy cow, yeah.
My life, I loved it. I loved my job, and I was like hiding in closets. I would have to like go into a closet, and literally I was having like small like panic attacks at work because I couldn't take it, and it was the stimulus. That was another thing. Light sensitive, noise sensitive, super dry eyes. That was really strange. Yeah, so all of those things, and I started Googling, and again, and it came up to brain retraining, I found. And this kind of makes sense. I was reading a little bit about it, and so I started Googling. Probably the only time that was Google was good. Started Googling more, and I found another program. I did do another program before yours, and the price, I was like, yeah, I'll give this a try. I read about it, and I was like, we'll try this. I think it'll be great. So I took another month off from work to try to figure this out and work with this program. It was hours and hours of video. And again, I'm sure it's a great program, but at that point, from my brain and my body, I was like, oh God.
Yeah.
I would have to do these like repetitions twice a day for 30 minutes a boot. So it was an hour a day. And then I became obsessive about that. Everything I did, I became obsessive about. So that was like obsessive. And it made me more anxious. We went away on vacation for like a couple of days. And my vacation, I'm locked in the other room because I had to do these things. I had to do these, stop, and lay down and walk on these dots. And again, I think it's probably a great program for somebody. I'm not saying that, but for me, And then I found Raylan, and I started watching her. And from Raylan, I found you. And the rest is history.
Yeah. Wow. And thanks for, sharing your story so clearly, like I can vividly imagine all these different steps in your journey. And I'm sure a lot of people listening to this, they're like, holy cow, yeah, that was me. That was me. I did that. I did that. I did that thing too. Holy cow. So
It's
it's really
amazing
interesting
how
to
our
see.
stories are different, but so same, much the same.
Yeah. Oh
It,
yeah. Like the general structure. If we were to turn all our stories into books, the chapters, they'd have the same titles on them, the chapters, but within those chapters is very unique things. But yeah, you initially get sick, you think, oh, this will go away in a few weeks. Doesn't go away, actually gets worse. So then you start being like, okay, I should probably see a doctor about this. They're saying you're fine. Then that's when the cycle starts. Specialists, all this. Then you exhaust all your options there. Then it's private routes, private medicine, acupuncture, that doesn't work. Then we're in this push and crash cycle. And then eventually we were forced to kind of take things into our own hands. And that's what you did with the Googling stuff and trying other potential solutions. And then eventually you found my stuff, which I'm really glad you came across my stuff. And when was it when you came across my stuff? Would have been in 2022. Was
by
that
this,
early?
it was yeah, it was so yeah, by 2022. So maybe like May of 2022 or April May, because that was when I was doing the other program, and then I think in the interim, because I had done that kind of a search, like Braylon popped up and then you popped up. What I liked about, well, there's many things I like about you and your program, but what I liked was that you gave us all of the information. You gave us accurate knowledge. And that's what I was looking. You give me like you said, this is what's happening. Boom, boom, boom. This is what's happened to you. And you gave all that information for free on your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
You can heal from this. It would be difficult, but you could heal from this just watching your YouTube videos.
Oh yeah. So many people do.
And you put that out for free,
Mhm.
and you put that out there. Just here it is. This is what I did. It's as simple as A, B, and C. Not simple as in the work is simple, but the concepts behind it is simple.
Mhm.
The work is hard. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I don't know. There was something about your calm voice, just everything. And like I said, I saw you on Raylan, and I love her. She's amazing. And yeah, we had a talk. I think we had set up an appointment, and you weren't feeling good, and so you canceled, and so I missed that Jumpstart.
Yeah.
And then we had another call, and so then I was starting in the summer, and I believe, and we're kind of being taught that right now about like things happening for a reason and divine intervention and things like that. We're being taught kind of just those kind of concepts right now from a lot of the coaches, and I wasn't meant to be in that program. I needed to do some other things before I got to the program in August. I'm completely convinced. So like that timing was my time.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It all fell into place. So I remember, we had that call scheduled. I got super sick with
Yeah,
something. Yeah.
really, you had something going on.
Yeah. And I remember thinking to myself, this feels like an adjustment period like before. It wasn't an actual adjustment period, but I'm like, yeah, I got the flu or food poisoning. My body hurts. I'm sweating. I'm like, oh, this is what people go through all the time. This is what I went through. So I remember making a whole bunch of videos after that because it reminded me of what it felt like. But anyways, shortly after that, we do another call. And for you, you know, what was the biggest thing that, made you decide to come on board and just commit to a program like this?
Well, again, it was watching your videos, and I really resonated with what you were saying. You were, like I said, the knowledge that you were giving was clear and concise, and it's basically simple. Well, everything else that I looked at was like, gotta do this, gotta do this, gotta do this, and everything else I looked at, I was on my own doing it. And I learned from that other program that I don't think I can do this like on my own. Like I need a little bit of a helping hand. I needed somebody that was going to be more one-on-one, and that's what you guys offered in the program. You were going to take us through step by step on what the program was, and then we were going to graduate from that and go into another kind of a program where we're with our group. You're with your peers who understand you, and it's probably the only time that I felt like completely understood.
Hmm.
Even though my family was great, you can't understand what's going on in your body unless it's actually happening to somebody else. My family are great and helpful, but they can't
Yeah.
understand.
And that's a thing. Yeah. So, people can have the strongest support systems, very supportive husband who will rip through the roofs or the ceiling to get rid of the mold. But unless they've been in your shoes, they'll never really understand what it's like to feel what you're feeling. And you wouldn't want them to,
No,
right? But
no, it's
when
terrifying, absolutely terrifying.
yeah, with other people who've been through it, it makes it, it's that different kind of connection with people and that trust and that feeling of being part of a small team versus doing it by yourself. You don't feel like you're going through these trenches alone. And it's very rare to meet somebody out there who's also going through this, A, but B, is also solution focused, who's not just, you know, venting and in pure fear mode. They're actually here looking for a solution, right? So it's hard to find that. And I want to ask you, how helpful is it being on calls with people like that, people going through what you're going through?
I have no words to describe what it's like because I think it saved my life. I'm not somebody that gives up. I have family. I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional, but
No problem.
it was probably I didn't want to give up, but I didn't want to be here anymore. If I had to live like this, I didn't want to be here. And again, I would never have done anything but it was just so black. Having this group pulled me out of it. And I honestly say that. And during this whole journey too, I saw therapists, and like, because that was another thing, like, go see therapists, unlock all this trauma. Like, I went to one therapist that like screwed me up even more. And this group, you and Junior, there are other coaches now that we have, but when I started, it was just you and Junior.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, you guys saved me, and
Yeah.
I honestly mean that. I don't give my, I don't, I don't give that kind of accolades out. But there's no words to describe it.
Yeah.
He held my hand. If there was ever any time I had a question, if I remember one time with Junior, I don't know, I was reading something and I was in the program and reading something and someone had said something about like maybe it's all of your root canals that are causing all of this. So I'm like ready to get like my teeth pulled out. And I'm like texting him and I'm like, he's like, Jackie, like, slow down. I have never heard this before. He like talked me off of that cliff, like talked me off of like so many like different cliffs. Just to calm and like to stop like with the fears. And so yeah,
Yeah.
I just can't express my gratitude, and I would shout it from the rooftops. This, if you need that kind of extra support, and I'm not saying everybody does, I knew I did, and you not convinced me, but I had to make another hard decision, and that was giving up my job, and you helped me through that. You held my hand and said, if you can do it, if you can't, then you'll still get out of this. It's just going to take you a little bit longer, and it's just probably going to be a little bit harder, but you'll probably get out of it. You will get out of it. You never said probably. You always boost our confidence. But it was time. I knew I couldn't do this. For me personally. So that was another huge adjustment. I mean, I was at my job for 23 years and I loved it.
Yeah. Hard to let go of a role like that, right? That's
Really hard.
years.
That
And
that's who I was. My
yeah.
job was who I was. Now I found out, through this program that, there's a lot more out there for me. And I'm not just that role. That's not just
Yeah. And I remember that conversation too. And, it was a difficult decision for you to make, but we try to break it down logically and be like, Jackie, you've given 23 years of your life to this and helping other people, and you're always giving to other people. Now I think it's time for you to help yourself. I think you deserve it. And
And that year before, I tried to work doing it, and I would literally get 3 months under my belt, and I'd go right back. And see, that was the thing. I went right back to the old person that I was.
mhm,
So,
yeah,
and that's been a mind shift too. So that's my biggest thing. My biggest thing coming into this was I want to get back to the gym. I want to get back to running. I want to get back to working out. I want to get back to working. I want to get back to the old me. And that old me is gone. And I'm okay
yeah,
with that now. I wasn't. Let me tell you, I was not, because that's who I wanted to be. Um, what I have found through this program, I'm back to those things. I'm not back to like exactly where I want to be with those things. That's coming. But this program has taught me how to deal with my stress, because really my stress threshold was completely overflowing.
mhm,
And that's probably the thing that I have to work on the most right now is, I would say I'm like 80% there. It's those types of things that push my symptoms, that give me symptoms. It's not like going out and walking a couple of miles or um, you know, lifting or something like that. It's really not. It's the stress, and that's where you guys have taught me too. So it's been so many different facets of learning.
Oh yeah, yeah, and you've done a really great job, and I appreciate the kind words and everything. And we love seeing people come in and just give it their absolute all. And I know it wasn't always easy going through these adjustment periods because, on the one hand, we're there to help build plans for you guys, help you, take the next steps or know what the next steps are in recovery. But also, when you have those flare ups, when you're starting to question everything, and like, people go through these emotional roller coasters, we're there to kind of course correct and bring things back on track. So we're kind of like your safety net, right?
Let us know that those, one of the things that you say, like your AP is not in the way, it's on, it's taking you on your way. And to realize that, well, before, in the other program that I was in, I didn't know that. I thought, oh, I'm going to do this program, I'm not going to have symptoms anymore. So when symptoms would pop up, I would freak out, and you taught us that, that is the only way that you're going to get out of this. You have to go through this part. And, like you said, some are easier than others. I just got through COVID again a couple weeks ago. This is my, second time having it. And I did it. I'm fine. I'm fine. Absolutely fine. I had no fear of COVID going through all of this ever, but I had fear of the vaccine. And so I think that's always in the back of my mind. So when I got that third, fourth vaccine, that's just added to my dumping load. So yeah, got through COVID, fine, absolutely fine. I'm back to baseline. Actually, I feel like I'm above where I was. I really feel like those 2 weeks just pushed me even further. Even it's crazy when you guys say that, like those big ones, like I can remember at the beginning, like you guys would be like, "Yes, you're in a big AP," and I'd be like,
You guys are nuts.
"I hate you," but it works, as long as you can keep yourself calm through it. And even I would say like, oh, I messed it up. I remember saying to Junior one time too, like, I messed it up. I'm like freaking out. He's like, you're not. As long as you're 2% better than you did last time. I'm like, well, yeah, okay, I am. So
Yeah,
it,
yeah, yeah. There, so many things we guide you guys on. And for you, what was one of the big wins you had in the beginning, or what was one of those experiences where you were like, wow, aha, it's really clicking. Like all this stuff actually makes sense. Maybe it was a big win or an experience. Do you remember what one of the
I've
turning points
so
was?
many I've had so many
A lot.
mind shifts and things like that. But one of the big ones was our good friend passed away in March. It was March of this year, and we had to get to Florida. And he passed away after we saw him. We knew we needed to get down there. My husband and I, we needed to get down there. And the thought of going into an airport, the thought of being out of my little comfort bubble right now of healing, going through the airport, getting on a plane, did I need a wheelchair? Did I need, all these kinds of support things that I'm going into a really, really stressful situation. But we had to go. Kind of in the group called these like novel experiences. Like there's sometimes you just have to go. And I was scared, but I did it. We did it. We got down there. We spent like 4 or 5 days with him. It was a sad experience. It was really hard, but beautiful because we got to spend time with him. And I got home, and actually, you guys were doing a call, and I was coming in off of the plane. I put my phone on. I got on the call, and Junior was like, "Are you home? Where are you?" Like immediately, like you felt so cared for because he knew I was coming home. And when I got on that call, he's like, "Where are you?" And I told him, that I did it, and where we were, and how I made it, and I felt okay. Did I have some symptoms and some after? I did, but I was okay with it. It was absolutely worth it. That's a sad one, but like I've done so many things. We last had a huge pool party for my daughter that I always have, that I've had every year for the past like 15 years for her friends. Again, she has special needs, so like a lot of her kids' friends live in group homes, and they don't have a pool, and I just love having them all with me. And last year there was no way I could do it. I did it this year with them. Took her to an amusement park that we go to every year, and that last year there was no way I could do it. And here's another one: 4th of July, which is a huge
I remember that seeing
Still,
that one channel.
but I can remember having the conversation with you, and you were asking me, what is something that you really want to do that you haven't been able to do? And I said, I can't go see fireworks. And that's like something my
Yeah.
husband and I and the kids, like when they were little, we would chase like fireworks all over the place. And he said, you'll get there next. You said to me, you'll get there next year. And
Yeah.
I can't even like leave my house. Like, I'm like, no way. And I was sitting in the middle of the fireworks this year. And you said it took me 1 year, and I did it.
Yeah. And I remember that on our initial conversation, because it was
Initial
shortly
call.
after
Yep.
that fireworks. And you're like, you were pretty upset that you couldn't go. And, you I think you even had some tears of having to miss that. But I remember saying, this won't be a problem next year.
Oh,
You're going to be
you were
totally.
emphatic, like, yep, you'll get there next year. And that's another thing with this, whatever this is. I'm not even going to call it a sickness or this journey. Is that for me? I felt like I was letting everybody down. I'm the mom. I think, and if there are other moms that are on here that are listening, you feel like you're letting your whole family down because, the mom, we take care of everything.
Yeah.
And you said to me, another thing that you said to me that I remember is you said, it's time for you to take some time for you. You need to be selfish right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I was ever selfish with myself my entire life, like, and especially being a mom. So that was a hard thing to swallow, but I needed it.
Yeah.
And, yeah, so
Because,
so many, my
yeah.
physical things, I'm walking probably like 2 miles, a mile and a half, 2 miles a day. I have some goals. I still want, there's a certain hike that I still want to do,
Mm-hmm.
which was probably because it was like my last hike that I did before um, kind of the world stopped for me. Getting back to work, which is going to happen. I'm volunteering like 1 day a week right now, which is great. I'm starting to do that. Um, I can take care of my family. I can go like all day long, and I'm okay. And if I'm not, that's okay too. I just pull back a little bit and rest. And another big one. It was that my nephew got married, and last year when he got engaged, I was like, oh God, there's no way I'm gonna be able to go to a wedding. How can I go to a wedding? I can't even go to the grocery store. Dancing after hours with my son. It was like my whole family. It was like amazing, and I did it.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. And I think something um, you said it's really quickly, but I think it's so important is that you have to be a little bit selfish in the beginning to take care of yourself. And you and so many other people, myself included, we want to continue to give to other people and be that person giving support. And the last thing we want is to feel like a burden to other people. And that's what it feels like when we're sick and asking for help, which is why we tend to not ask for help. So, just being a bit selfish for a short period of time in the long run, it allows you to do things like throw a pool party for your daughter, be there for your family, right? So in a way, being selfish is actually being selfless in the long run. It kind of hurts in the beginning, but that's what allows you to springboard your way to recovery and getting your life back, getting back to thriving
Exactly.
health. So,
Exactly. I
so
was the
many.
I was the person that people came to for help.
Yeah.
And at that point, when at my lowest, like I couldn't even string like two words together.
Hmm.
I would be dragging myself in the car to get to work. Like there were some days that I drove to work. I didn't even know how I got there. That's like how out of
Yeah.
sorts I was. Um, yeah. So it's a blow to the ego, but that's
Mm.
okay because sometimes we're ego driven too. And
Too ego
all those
driven.
things I did for people, I love doing it, but it also fueled my ego. So, being at the gym and looking a certain way was important to me. I was an athlete all my life, so like that's just normal. But I liked the way I looked. Do I have a little bit of weight to lose right now? Yep, it's another goal, but I know that's going to come. I do.
Hmm.
I just know it. So
Yeah, yeah. And doing that is going to be so much easier than going through adjustment periods and being on this journey you've already been on. So that's something I tell you guys too, and the coaches tell you guys on the calls. It's after you get through the hardest part of this recovery, the most challenging parts, and you start really getting your life back, it's almost like you come out with an unfair advantage compared to other people because you've been in the darkest of places and you've made it through that. And when you are in those dark places, it forces you into the darkest parts of your mind. And, without any darkness, there wouldn't be any light. So sometimes you need those dark times to be able to appreciate and for things to be that much more beautiful once you come
Right.
out of it. That
Right.
appreciation is next level.
Exactly. And, having the group there, the support group, having the coaches there, having them say, well, you got through it before, you're going to get through this one. Just hearing that, what do they call it? Like a nocebo effect, and that's, even just hearing it
Mm-hmm.
and knowing that, like, if I have a problem, like, I can just send a message and they get back to me and they get back to you.
Yeah, and it doesn't take days or weeks. It's
You
typically the
guys,
same day within a handful
instant.
of hours. Yeah.
Instant. So I couldn't recommend it more. I mean, like I said, you give all the information on your YouTube videos. If you can heal that way. You
Mhm.
absolutely. But if you want the community, if you want the family, if you want support, extra support, the hand holding, the looking at you individually and saying, okay, you're gonna do this first, then this, then this, then this. You walk you through everything. It's there. It's yeah. It's so worth it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I said
It's
I'm not going to go back to it again, but you guys saved me in more ways than one.
yeah. Thank you, thank you. So for you, painting a picture for your life right now, just to show people how much of a difference 1 year can make, and how life can be, completely different, even from where you are now to a year from now. Maybe just paint a picture for people. What could you do, let's say last August, versus what can you do now? Like, what did your life look like last August? What does it look like now in terms of activity, in terms of capacity, what you're able to do? It's
Mm-hmm.
probably a night and day difference.
Night and day, but not only like what I might be looking at, like physically, what I can do, like outwardly, it's inwardly too. Like I'm so much calmer. I am so much more in control. I don't fly off the handle like as quickly as I used to. More like compassionate towards just things that are going on. But physically, like just my lowest of my low, like I had no hope. I thought this was it. This was going to be the rest of my life. Um, I'm walking. I'm working out. I take care of my house. I can take care of my family. I can cook. I can clean. I can do everything. I can really do everything. Before, I could barely, when I would come home from work, I used all of my energy there, everything that I had, and I would just go right about it. I couldn't do anything. Like, zero.
Mm-hmm.
I guess could I function at work? Barely. I did it barely. I wasn't doing my job great either. But so there was nothing. There was no going out. There was no going to the grocery store. There was no going to a movie. There was no going to dinner. There was no seeing friends.
Social life.
Nothing. No going to the gym. I mean, nothing. No walking. And that was another thing with my personality. While I was going through the darkest times, because of the way I would feel like junk when I came home from work, and I'd be like, I'm just going to go and do a 2 mile run because that's just going to make me feel better,
Mm-hmm.
So I know now. It's okay to rest. It's okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's night and day. I have a life,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's only going to get better because, like I said, I still have some things that I have some goals that I need to accomplish, that I want to accomplish, that I want to accomplish, and I know it's going to get there. I know we'll sit down maybe months from now, and it's going to be a totally different story.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And you're the perfect example of someone who was just surviving, just getting by. The goal was to make it to the end of the day without relapsing and without things going off the rails. Someone just surviving to now really starting to thrive and rebuild her life. And,
Right.
just like you said earlier, you're not the you're not the old Jackie. We're like 2.0 version Jackie, more
Right.
sustainable version, a new leveled up version of Jackie.
Right.
Someone who's never going to fall into this again. And even if you get close to this, like, you know what to do and you know why this stuff happens. And when I think once you understand why you fell into this in the first place and how you got stuck there, it's really hard to go back to that place. You'd almost have to intentionally ignore all the stop signs and yellow lights because you know what's going on.
You'd have to be blind. Yeah, you'd have to go back to that extremeness. Like you said, you gave us accurate knowledge. You gave us the knowledge, and also the hope that, not even hope. You just said you're gonna be fine. You're going to get better.
Mm, exactly.
So, just hearing that, was just unimaginable, the difference. And I have friends. You guys are my friends. It might sound like crazy to somebody on the other side, but like, you guys are. And the people in my group, they're like my friends.
Mm-hmm.
I check in on them all the time. We have a couple of younger kids in the group that, maybe in their 20s and everything like that, and stuff's happening to them. How you guys doing? All right, kiddo? Oh, thank you. Same thing back and forth. I mean, it's, I can't wait. We're supposed to have a retreat someday with all of us, and we're gonna meet face to face.
Yeah, that's gonna be super exciting.
It's amazing.
Announcement.
Everybody, I know it'll happen like a divine time, like divine, when it's supposed to happen, it'll happen. But yeah, so I can't say enough.
Yeah. And thank you so much. And for people watching this right now, let's say there's someone watching this, they were in your shoes a year ago or a year and a half ago when you were in this whirlwind, this tornado of just chaos, trying to figure out what was going on, even before you found the brain retraining stuff, and you're kind of lost, scared, confused. If someone's watching this right now, because there are people like that, and maybe this is the first video they ever watch about this nervous system issue, what kind of words of encouragement would you say to them? And what's a golden nugget you can leave them with? I know there's so many things you could say, but if something comes to mind, what would that be?
Don't give up. Always have hope, and know that there are people out there that want to help you and to get out of this. And you can. This is something that is attainable, and recovery is just, what do you say? A mind shift away. Mm-hmm. And it's true. It really, really is true. And there are people out there to help you, and just keep going.
Yeah. And just so they could get another sense of what your mindset was like, I have to ask you, were there ever times where you thought you'd never get better? Because there's a lot of these people thinking that right now. Yeah.
So being in these forums just brought me down, and I would just think, like, this is my life, that I am never going to get out of this. They're saying that I'm never going to get better, that I'm listening to all these people, and that's what fueled it. Not only was it my nervous system that was then tipped over, but being fueled by fear coming at me from every direction. Everything that I looked at was just fear, and adding to it. And your brain knows, and your brain's listening, and your brain is saying, now there's all this stuff coming at you. There's all this fear coming at you. Run. And so just know that there is a way out, and it's not easy all the time, but it's attainable. And there's help out there. And go on Miguel's YouTubes. Look at his the videos that he puts out there. Check them out and give him a call. It doesn't hurt to call you, because you call right back. You'll make a discovery call, and it doesn't hurt. It's not going to cost you anything. It's just a couple of minutes, and see if you guys click. I mean, I think I clicked immediately.
Yeah.
I think I had my husband with me on that call, because
I remember that.
I couldn't get on the call. I was like, Luke, I can't do this. So it's dark, but like you sort of say, there's light at the end of that darkness.
Absolutely.
And it might seem like so far away, because it did to me. Never want to go back to there, and I never will, with everything that you guys have taught.
Yeah. So. It's been amazing watching your journey unfold and continue to unfold, and all of these wins stacking on each other. I always get excited when I see Jackie post in the wins channel. I'm like, this is going to be a good one. And so it's just so awesome to see how far you've come, not just physically, but even just mentally. I remember when we first met, you were a very anxious person, like a lot of people are,
Tiny.
something goes wrong here. It's like, what's happening? Is this, are we going backwards? Is this a crash? But now it's like, you can roll with the hits and the symptoms here and there. And that's why you've done so well and you're continuing to do well.
The
So
emotion of it was exhausting.
yeah,
Exhausting. I don't know how many times I would come on, and cry and just cry. But then again, that's why you guys are there. You're here to say, yeah, that's okay. You can cry and then stop and let's move on. Let's get
yeah,
going.
exactly. Let's keep the ball rolling here.
Right.
So
And that's at the point that I'm at now where I said to Junior, I said, I think it's time to like kick me in the butt a little bit and say, get going. There's different areas of this recovery, where you kind of, you're handled differently through this. And the coaches get that. And the coaches know when it's time to kind of handle you with kid gloves and then kind of like,
yeah, to be fully support or, adding
oh,
some challenge here and there, and works different at different stages.
and
Right.
you guys will be there for me forever. I know you will. I just know it. Yeah. So, it's just amazing. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome. And thanks so much for coming on here. And, this hour flew by so fast. I feel like we could talk here for hours and hours with all your experience and, everything you've been through. I think, everybody who's gone through this could write a book, and your book would be epic, your story. And you're still writing it as we
Yeah.
speak.
Yeah. And it's going to have a great ending. I don't think it's ever going to end, actually.
Oh, yeah, it's not. It's
I don't
not.
think it's ever going to end. And I don't want it to. And that's unbelievable because, like I had said back then when it was dark, where it was just like, I don't want to live like this.
Last chapter. Yeah.
Yep.
It
I don't
feels
want to live like this. So, but thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And thank you for coming on here and sharing this with all these people watching right now who are looking for hope and looking for proof that recovery is possible. And all of you who are watching this right now, Jackie doesn't have some magic superpower. Same with all the other thrivers who get better. They don't have some magic crystal or some, they're not an alien. They're just like you and I, you know, and we see them towards the end of their recovery journey. Well, I don't want to say end because it never ends, but you know, we see them go from where they were to where they are, and we think, how the heck did they do that? That's impossible for me, or that seems insane to do all that stuff. But they put in the work, they followed the principles. It's just following principles and frameworks that are proven to work. And if they can do it, if I can do it, if Jackie can do it, and all the other people you've seen on this channel, if they can do it, you could do it too. And we were all once there. You were there, Jackie. I was there, where we thought we might never get better. We've had that pop up thousands of times in our head. But here we are, proving that thought wrong. So I do believe anybody can get better from this, if we follow the steps, right? So for you guys,
Just follow the process.
yeah, stick to the process, stick to what has worked and is being proven to work. So if you're watching this right now and you did want some extra help, we have the Recovery Jumpstart there for people who need that extra help. And I'll always say, as Jackie said earlier, you don't have to do the program to get better. There are so many people, I get emails all the time, people messaging me on Instagram, Facebook, emails saying, hey, I've been implementing the stuff for months and I'm pretty much back to normal. I'm 90% better, 50% better, or whatever. People do get better, right? If you can follow the steps. I know for me, I needed help from a doctor. I couldn't have done this on my own. And that's what our Recovery Jumpstart program is for. So if you need extra help, you wanted that safety net there, you wanted a personalized plan, all of these things to pretty much increase the odds of success, that's what the Recovery Jumpstart program is for. So you can apply for it. We do it by application only. We want to make sure you're a perfect fit before we move forward. There's nothing else going on as well in terms of medical issues, but I'll leave the link down below in the description. You can apply, see if you qualify, and then you would hop on just a quick call with our team, and we can see how we could best serve you. But as I always say in these videos, watch this one back. This one is a powerful story, and Jackie laid it out very detailed, all the steps in her journey. And if you did enjoy this video, leave a comment down below. What was your biggest takeaway from Jackie's story? And what do you resonate with? What have you been through that she's been through? Or what are you going through right now that she's already conquered? Share down below. We'll be able to see who else has been through these similar things. But always remember, you are just one mind shift away I'm living a life of thriving health. You are a thriver. So we will see you guys in the next video. Thanks so much, Jackie.
Bye. Thank you. Everything.